I'm your host, Ken Joslin, where we help business professionals build confidence, gain clarity, and create community. I've got a special treat for you guys today. I've got my good friend. Um, I would call her. She says "Mama Mentor" in her bio. New York Times bestselling author. She sold over 30 million books. She is, and I just told her this off air just a minute ago, and I say this to everybody about you, probably echoing what Brandon Dawson's been saying forever. One of my favorite people on the planet, one of the biggest hearts to be able to help people grow and do what we do as business professionals and entrepreneurs. Sharon Lechter. Sharon, how you doing, sweetheart?
I am fantastic, Ken. So thrilled to be with you. Thank you. Love that smile.
Man, for those of you guys that don't know, I got to spend a couple hours with Sharon at her house back in January talking about this event that we've got coming up in Scottsdale next week. And people are like, what is it like sitting at Sharon? Number one, she has the largest table I've ever seen, dining room table. I don't know how many people it seats. It's got to be like 120. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life. What's it like sitting at the end of the dining room table for an hour and a half to 2 hours with Sharon Lechter? And I said, it's like talking to the wisest grandmother on the face of the planet. And she just sitting there, just encouraging and asking questions. And it's a phenomenal time. And Sharon, number one, I on behalf of everyone, the hundreds of people that you've done that with, in the span of your career, I want to say from me, from Brandon and Aaron and Sareed, all the other people that we know that we've talked about. Thank you for doing that. Take a minute, update our audience, tell them about the book, tell them about where you're at right now and what's this season look like for Sharon Lechter.
Well, thank you, Ken. As many of you know, I spent most of my career writing books the last 24 years with Rich Dad Poor Dad and 14 other books in that series, and then with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So I did 3 Feet from Gold with Greg Reed, my buddy, and then I did Outwitting the Devil, which was hidden away for 73 years. So I basically co-authored with Napoleon Hill himself, which was an incredible experience, and Thinking Rich for Women, and Success and Something Greater again with Greg. And so as we continued moving forward, I was working with presidents and all kinds of fun things. But it was David Corbin actually reached out to me and said, this Michelle Seiler Tucker, who I've known for years, was wanting to write this book. And he felt that I could help add value to it. And so talked to Michelle, and she's the largest business broker in the country, female owned. And she's also a mergers and acquisitions specialist. So she's helped hundreds, if not thousands, of companies position themselves and sell at much higher value than they could on their own. And when I looked at what she was doing, I said, this is kind of a culmination of everything I teach. I have my online courses, Essential Components of a Successful Business, that I do with my husband. It's a $2,000 course. It's like a college class. But this is taking a lot of that information and putting it into a tool that anybody can afford. $24 right here gives you the essence of how to build a strong business. So many people call themselves business owners, but they own a job. They don't own a business. And so Inc. magazine stepped up. They wanted to use it under their imprint. And so I'm delighted and honored that we're releasing this month. And I'm very excited about it because it's a gold mine. My friend Steve Forbes says this is a gold mine for entrepreneurs.
I love that. We're talking about it real quick. What's the best way for them to find out where to get the book, order the book? If they're not going to be at boot camp in Scottsdale, where's the best place for them to get that, Sharon?
ExitRichBook.com/buy, B-U-Y. You get all kinds of bonuses if you pre-order it. You'll get the digital copy right away because I like to disrupt the publishing industry. Yeah. So you go to ExitRichBook.com/buy, B-U-Y, and you will get the digital copy right away. And then we will mail you the hard copy when it actually gets released on June 22nd. So remember, it's Exit Rich Book, not Exit Rich, ExitRichBook.com/buy, B-U-Y. And I'm so excited. People that are buying 10 copies to give to their masterminds and their friends, I send a gift certificate to our ranch, cherrycreeklodge.com.
Awesome. I'll tell you what, I'm going to buy 10 as soon as we get off this call today. How's that sound? I may even buy more than 10 today. One of the things that obviously we met through a couple mutual friends, obviously in the 10X and in the Cardone kind of circles, was my friend Brandon Dawson, who you helped Brandon actually exit out of his company and kind of mentored and walked him through that, which really gives, it's not just your co-author that came to the table, but you've had a lot of experience helping people exit as well. Do you want to take a minute and talk to our audience who may not be familiar with Brandon and just specific in what you helped him do with his company and that exit he did, I think in 2016?
Well, I mean, Brandon, he did that all on his own. I can tell you that I helped inspire him along the way. He loved Rich Dad Poor Dad. He loved 3 Feet from Gold. He and I met several times. One of the things he talks about and gives me credit for that I didn't know until recently when he and I talked about it was like when we were originally talking about him building the business before he sold it. He talked about all these systems and all these teachings that he was developing. And I told him, I said, Brandon, you really need to put that in a separate company because that's your intellectual property. If your intent is to roll up all these businesses and sell them, that intellectual property is yours. And so let's keep that separate and then license it back to the company. And he did that. I didn't realize he actually followed through on that. And that technology and his intellectual property wouldn't be his today had it stayed in that company. So he had that license so they can still use it and they're continue to grow exponentially based on the foundation that he built in that company. But now he's using that technology, that intellectual property in expanding Cardone Ventures. And so I'm very proud of him, very excited because he's just an incredibly brilliant man, but he is totally responsible for his own success. I'm very proud.
Well, he would argue with you and beg to differ with you a little bit on that. Sharon, one of the quotes I write in my book, in my planner every day is to get in rooms with people who think bigger than you do. That's been the key to the growth that we've seen. This will be a 7-figure year for us in our coaching and consulting, and we're not even a year old. And it's come from being able to get in rooms with people like you, like Brandon Dawson, like Grant Cardone, like Tim Story, just on and on and on. All the people that we've got coming to our boot camp next week. People can do that if it's not face-to-face. Like I had the privilege of being with you at your home and meeting you several other times. It can be through a quote unquote book mentorship by reading books from other people. Talk about the importance. I mean, you've sold 30 million copies. Talk about the importance of reading and learning from somebody, even at a distance, if you don't have a personal relationship.
Well, Charlie Tremendous Jones says you'll be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books that you read. So think about it, because what are you putting in your brain? And what happens and what you just talked about, I still today, putting myself in a position where I'm with people that are more successful, people that just energize me. You hear them and you just get excited and it just opens the world of possibilities. And sometimes you feel a little uncomfortable when you first go in because you feel like an imposter. No, you're there to learn, you're there to soak it up. And you know what? It inspires you to take a bigger action. That's why I launched the Play Big movement, because I want people to see what's possible for them. I share the things that I'm doing so that they can do it in their life as well, to be able to actually take and put themselves in a position of greatest and highest potential. So always seek people that are more successful than you because they are invested in supporting you as well.
I want to hit on the Play Big movement you talked about. When that one day out in Phoenix, I did a live after I left your house to my Growth Stack Drive community, and I had spent lunch with Carlos Reyes that day. And then I drove from lunch with Carlos straight to you. Carlos is obviously going to be speaking next week as well. Him and Sal have 7 businesses that are 7 and 8 figures apiece. And I sat at lunch that day with Carlos and he goes, what's your goals this year? I said, 1.35 million. First full year in business, 1.35 million. And Carlos just leaned across the table. I don't know if I told you this. He goes, is that 1.35 million for the year or for the month? And I said, no, that's just for the year. And he leaned over and he goes, brother, you need to be thinking about 1.35 million per month. And I literally, it was like, I said, dude, I can't even wrap my head around that. Well, I leave lunch with Carlos after we sat for 2.5 hours. And I come to your house and you and I talked for about an hour and a half. And I left that day and my heart and my soul could not have been more full. Like I could not have had another meeting with anybody else that day because I couldn't have taken all of it in. Talk about what you guys are doing to help people in that business that you mentioned just a minute ago. Talk about what you're doing to help people in that experience so they can, and that has been for us, really has been the catalyst behind how we've grown and how we've done what we've done over the last year.
Well, I think you have to meet people where they are and then show them where they can be.
Mm.
And so what that means is we have a customer journey that we bring people in. We bring people in a very basic level with my daily ATM abundance tips and mentorship. That's $8 a month, just to kind of start nurturing them and make them see what's possible for them. And then we have a money mastery course that we offer at a very reasonable price. And then we have our Play Big course. And then I have the essential components. Those are, at low level, from a standpoint of people really wanting to make a difference and a shift in their business. But everything I teach is mindset as well as action. So there's a mindset action exercises as well as money action exercises. Because if you don't change what's up here, you're not going to change yourself for long term. But then I also have mentoring programs where you one-on-one. But you have to get qualified for that because I want to make sure that we are ready to support you. I'm not here to take anybody's money. I'm here to invest my time and my wisdom to help people who are ready to go to the next level. And so on my website, SharonLechter.com, there's more information about each of those programs as well as my mentoring programs.
Sharon, talk about the money mindset. Why, number one, I ask you this question. What's the biggest, because you've helped hundreds and thousands of people. Obviously, you sold 30 million books, dealing a lot with finances. What's the biggest hurdle you see people in them trying to get over the money mindset, that it's okay for them or that they can, have that type of money and build and generate that type of wealth?
Well, there's a couple things, Ken. In 3 Feet from Gold, we have the personal success equation, which is your passion and your talent. And that's all about you. That's what school teaches us. If you know what your why is, you've got your education and your experience. And most people try to do it on their own. But true success comes from the power of association, like you and I have created a great association, times taking action, plus faith, having faith in yourself, having faith in what you're doing, having faith that it's needed and necessary, having faith that it will succeed. And successful businesses solve a problem or serve a need. Takes it outside of yourself when you focus on what problem you're solving. But everyone I start working with, they need help in the power of association and self-confidence. And that's mindset. And when you surround yourself with the right people, your self-confidence goes up. But we dial it all the way back to as a kid. People are afraid of money because they heard things like, we can't afford it, save for a rainy day, pinch your pennies, right? And those are all negative statements. So you grow up money negative, money negative, money negative. No wonder we end up developing a mindset of scarcity. But once you identify it and kind of make it humorous and say, okay, release it and realize that we live in a world of abundance, all of a sudden you take those blinders off. And the world is your oyster. You can do and create anything you want to if you surround yourself with the right people. You have confidence in yourself. And when you have the right people around you, when you have a bad day, they lift you up.
Yeah, somebody asked me, I was actually on a call yesterday with somebody, and they were talking about, what did I do on the days that I don't feel like doing it? Well, number one, you just do it. You just suck it up and do it. But number two, you've got to have, there are 3 types of relationships I talk about all the time: community, circle, corner. Community is a large group. Circles those 10 or 12 people you're doing life with on a consistent basis. Corner is the 1 or 2 people that have that 10,000-foot view of what's going on. And all of those people are there for one very necessary thing in our life, and that's encouragement. And the word encouragement literally means to add courage to someone. And I say this all the time. Listen, just borrow my courage. Borrow my belief in who you are and what you're doing. How does it, Sharon, how does it feel being Sharon Lechter and looking around the world at all of these, and not just a success from a success standpoint of what they built and sold and how they're living and generated and created wealth, but just all these men and women around the world that your thumbprint is on, that they're making a difference in other people's lives because of what you've done in their life?
Well, it's pretty awesome. I grew up in a very entrepreneurial home, and I did not realize until I got out into the real world that not everybody understood assets. My favorite word
Mm.
on earth, assets, buying, building, creating income producing assets. And so to see people take control of their financial lives because of something I've written is just, it's awesome. It's incredible. I met a young man, he's Tarek El Moussa's partner in a syndication for some new real estate syndications. And he came up to me, Mike and I went to support him on his launch. And this young man came up to me and says, "You don't remember me, I know, but 17 years ago, you came to teach me at the University of Arizona. You came to teach our entrepreneurship class. I only did that once and I can barely remember it." But he says, "Because of that class, I stand before you a multimillionaire in real estate."
Wow.
That fills my cup. I mean, that's the kind of, your legacy is created every single day with every heart you touch. And
Mm.
I was raised by a father that said, "Sharon, have you added value to someone's life today?" Every night when he tucked me into bed. And he's been gone 15 years, but I still ask myself that every single day. Have I added value to someone's life today? And it's when I get those kind of comments, it's just amazing.
So we've got people watching from all over the world that will watch and listen to this podcast today. Where do they start, Sharon? If they're hearing this for the first time or this is new to them, like where do they? What's the first step that they can take?
Well, first, you've already taken that because you're listening to this. So you're putting yourself in a position of learning. And so congratulate yourself and feel that self-confidence that you've already taken the first step. You're already way ahead 90% of the people in the world because you're doing something. So turn that into action. Take that next step. Seek more education. Reach out to me, info@sharonlechter.com, what we can do to support you. Look for that next step in your business. Are you really building an asset in your business? Are you building a job? That's
Mm.
what Exit Rich is all about, how we can turn that job into a true asset, a true business where your successful business can be scalable, can be sustainable, and eventually saleable if you choose to do that. But this book is not just for people who are ready to sell their business. It's for people who are want to build a strong business that can create generational wealth. It's also for people who are looking to invest in a business, giving you the questions to ask, how you can analyze, due diligence to find out if this is something you want to invest in. And so it's the wealth of experience of all of my years of building global brands, of helping other people build global brands, understanding what you need to do that, plus Michelle's years of experience in
Mhm.
helping businesses get them ready for sale and selling them at a higher multiple than they would be able to do on their own.
What's the cost for what does it cost a business person who doesn't start out or wherever they're in the journey and they just continue on the same path instead of stopping, getting a hold of material like you have in Exit Rich, obviously Rich Dad Poor Dad, 3 Feet from Gold. I read 3 Feet from Gold in 9 days. I can't stand reading. I'm too ADHD to read. And I told you and Greg this, I literally read that book in 9 days. I could not put it down. What's it cost people for not slowing down enough to learn, to work on themselves? What's that cost like in their business and on their personal
Well, it
life?
can cost everything because you may never be able to sell because you don't understand how to position your business. You also are not adding to your brain. I mean, sometimes it's so important to we don't know what we don't know. And so start learning, start reading, start listening. What are you putting into your brain? How are you adding value to yourself? And you're costing not just yourself, but you're
Mm.
costing your family, you're costing the community. There are people out there that need to learn from you. And one of the biggest issues when we talk about exit rich, it's also exiting your time so
Mm.
that you have a successful business. You should have more free time because you have more people on your team. You have people that are supporting and building that business. And so all of a sudden you find that you are exiting time wise and the cash is still continuing to grow.
Mhm.
That's a beautiful picture. That creates generational wealth.
What would you say is the biggest reason people go to build a business and all they do is really build a job?
Well, because they don't take time to build the foundation. You can't build a house without going down first. And then you have to put in plumbing, you have to put in the electricity. And those are the systems that make your house work. Same thing with the business. People get all excited about their product or service and making money. And so they just continue to try and run themselves into the ground because they're trying to deliver without taking the time to work on their business, to build those systems. Your business systems is what allows your business to scale. And it's a lot easier to grow when you have a system to manage instead of personalities. So creating the systems of how your business works and how you go to the next step. I mean, you as part of Grant Cardone's, everything he has, his system, everything, their marketing, everything is a system. And that's how they're able to scale so quickly.
And that's one of the things we've been doing at GSD is really working is not just is the systems, but also getting those in Trainual and creating SOPs. And so as we hire someone else in, so Emily is my event coordinator and she team lead of operations. She's actually in Scottsdale. She lives there. So we're creating all of those things. So as she moves up in the company, somebody comes in to take her place. We can literally go, here's what your job looks like all the way down into to train you.
That's what allows you to be scalable. That's
exactly right. So next week we're going to be in Scottsdale together. I'm so stoked. You're going to be there. Greg Reed, Anthony Truck, Scott Duffy, Bill Walsh, Tori Cruz, Carlos Reyes, Sal, his partner Sal, Steve Trang, Jeff Finster from Everbowl. That goosebumps. Look, we've got an unbelievable lineup. Talk about the importance as a business owner and an entrepreneur, even a business professional, to be in rooms like that, Sharon.
Well, again, we don't know what we don't know. And to hear, I mean, I get excited when I'm in a room like that, and I actually go to listen. I don't normally just drop in and leave unless I have to. But learning from what other people are doing, it was like, wow, if they can do that, so can I. And the other thing is to listen to them and understand that they didn't make that success overnight. And so you understand the steps that they took, and that gives you the opportunity to ask questions and to be able to connect with those people. And a lot of times, they're hard to get in contact with. I mean, the new platform, Clubhouse, people now have more access to people than ever before. But at a live event, there's nothing like it because you have the opportunity to really listen, learn, and ask questions that can help you put yourself in that position of greatest potential.
So in our events, obviously we keep those to 55, 60 people because we want it to be an intimate experience with obviously world-class entrepreneurs and authors like you and Greg and the list I just went through. Jeff Finster. Jeff is on the top 40 under 40 entrepreneurs in like 2 or 3 of the Inc. Forbes. He's absolutely crushing it. What are some of the best questions people have asked you in and at an event like that?
Well, I think different arenas of questions. So when people talk to me about one of my superpowers is helping identify multiple streams of income, how to identify their intellectual property, how to identify it, protect it, and leverage it. So when people start asking me about the specifics of licensing intellectual property, that means that they're really aware of the value they can increase in their business by doing that. Secondly, the arena of questions, it relates to people not having the confidence to create the success they deserve. And in those environments, I can see people's confidence go up because we start knocking away those negative thoughts, knocking away those feeling of lack. Too many of us, we judge ourselves through the eyes of others. We need to stand in your own power. Too many people today say, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I go, stop it. Don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Become your own beacon of light. Stand in your own power because everyone is an expert. Nobody's had your successes or your learning opportunities. And so consider that you are an expert, but I want you to take that next step to become the expert. And then the next step, become the authority. And it's amazing when I go through this process with people, you see their confidence go right through the roof.
I love that. Sharon, best way to connect with you?
Info@SharonLechter.com and email, or you can go to my website, SharonLechter.com. And I'm in Clubhouse, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter.
She's all over the place. She's at the club with 50 Cent. She's on the yacht with Fat Joe. I told her at GrowthCon this year, I snuck up behind her and I said, if I see you in another club dancing, I'm going to take a picture and send it to Michael and tell him you're out partying too much.
Somebody did a video the night with 50 Cent, and they were up above behind him, and they're panning the audience, and of course there are all kinds of spotlights, but there's like this spot of white that kept popping up, and it was this head of hair.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite moments all of GrowthCon this year, and the Diamond and Premier parties and those kind of things, was walking into the club that was, I think it's Live, or I think it's the name of the club that Dave Grootman owns. It's one of the top clubs in Miami. Been shut down all year. They just opened it up for Grant and 50 Cent to come in, and I come around the corner and there's Sharon Lechter standing there doing her little thing with 50 Cent. I said, listen, man, you already here in my book, but you took another notch up in my book.
My daughter-in-law just about lost it because she's a huge fan of his, and I can't believe you were there.
Yeah, I mean, you're there with a couple hundred people. I mean, it was just obviously Grant, man. He knows when it comes to events and experiences.
Oh, his productions are top notch, Hollywood level.
They're second to none. Sharon Lechter, ladies and gentlemen, at Sharon Lechter on Instagram. She'll be with us next week in Scottsdale, growstackdrive.com/Scottsdale. I've got 3 or 4 tickets left, and we're sold out. We're going to have a phenomenal time. Sharon will be with us Friday early. I'm going to kick it off, and then I'm going to hand the mic to her, and she's going to just bring some unbelievable wisdom. And I love the confidence piece that you said. One of the biggest things for us at Grow Stack Drive, and one of the first things we do, is we help business professionals build confidence. And just even every time I talk with you or get around you, it raises my confidence level and belief in myself. So again, on behalf of everyone today, thank you for your time. The website one more time for the Exit Rich book, Sharon?
Yes, exitrichbook.com/buy, BUY, exitrichbook.com/buy. And you'll get all kinds of bonuses, and it's actually cheaper than ordering on Amazon. We'll get you the digital copy right away and send you the hard copy.
Do you know when do those ship by any chance? Do we know?
June 22nd is the actual release.
So it'll be after our boot camp then. Okay, awesome. Sharon, thank you. I will see you a week from right now. I mean, literally, so a week from right now, we'll be at boot camp, and you'll be speaking. I think it's 9:00 your time. It's 11:00 here in Birmingham today. So look forward to seeing you next week, Sharon. As always, thank you so much. Thank you for the impact that you make in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives through your books, through your content, and then obviously the hundreds of lives just through who you and Michael are as human beings and as people. I want to, when I am, when it's time for me to, call it a night and step back and do whatever people do when they retire. I don't know if I'm ever going to retire, but I want to be able to look back on my life and see what you see. That is that significance factor. And I know it's huge to you, and thank you.
Well, thank you, Ken. I look forward to seeing you next week. And please, all of you watching and listening, come join us, be part of this. It's going to be great. And he only has a few tickets left, and would really greatly appreciate hearing from you guys. And as I said, if you buy 10 copies at exitrichbook.com/buy, I will send you a gift certificate to our ranch at cherrycreeklodge.com.
Love it. Go follow Sharon Lechter. I'm on Instagram. She's all over Clubhouse. She's like the Clubhouse superstar now. She's in every time I get popped up on my phone all day long. Sharon Lechter's on Clubhouse talking and adding value and doing what she does. Sharon, thank you, sweetheart. I will see you next week.
Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate you.
Have a blessed day. Guys, thanks for joining our Grow Stack Drive podcast with my good friend today, Sharon Lechter. I look forward to I'm going to be back on in a couple hours with Tori Cruz, 2016 Miss Missouri, top 10 Miss USA finisher. She's also going to be with us next week as we kind of kick off and continue our GSD summer tour leading up to Scottsdale Boot Camp next week. Sharon,